Cosmic here, welcome to the channel, and if you've been struggling with Star Savior's Journey mode, then this is the video that you've been waiting for. Over the past couple days, I've been grinding out this mode and trying to work on this guide to make this as easy as possible to help you dive in case you've been stuck either failing it multiple times or just have no idea what to look forward to. So if you want to see more guides like this one for Star Savior, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But otherwise, let's dive into the video itself. And up front, I do want to be very clear about what this video is versus what this video is not. So this video is really meant to be an introduction to the mode itself, while also giving an example run at the end and talking through the various points of why I made certain decisions. What this video is not is a all-in, what is the absolutely correct choice at every single turn, because, well, it just doesn't happen for two different reasons. For the first one is that, yes, there is a lot of RNG baked into this game mode, and to do that level of a comprehensive guide, it would be a much better text form than a video form, or it could take, well, honestly, up to an hour or longer. Also, this is only going to go into the normal mode of the journey as well as easy, so hard mode itself does unlock a lot more intricacies to the mode itself, so we will be doing a second video that dives into that aspect of it. And while not going over every single choice, as I just mentioned, we will dive deeper into things like potentials and blessings. But that out of the way, let's now talk about, yes, it is time to grind some stats. So as you've been progressing through the game, you might start to feel like your characters are overall weak, or just wondering how you get more things like crit rate and general stat improvements. Here is just one example of our bunny girl Charlotte, as we've gotten quite a few upgrades on her and how mine is currently built out. You can see that she's getting not only a speed increase from one of the Arcanas, as well as sharp assault here, which is going to give her attack and crit rate. So overall giving her a huge stat increase based on the Arcana cards that we give her. So what is overall the point of the journey mode? It's really broken down into two separate things. You want to be gaining these passive stats for your characters that you then use in a following run. So for one side of this, you are going to get a massive stat boost. In this case, we have the 30 vitality boost on Haiti as an example. That means when you use her in a future run for one of your other characters, they will start with a plus 30 boost and then get that plus 30 vitality boost at multiple other points through the run, meaning a grand total of 90 or whatever that boost might be. This is a massive deal for making sure that you are maxing out that stat to get the highest rating possible, which then also allows you to put points elsewhere in your character to round out their overall stats. Now, the other part, and this one is what we are going to focus on in the hard mode instead, is going to be the potentials, which is how you are going to get decreased of cost. You might have noticed like a 10%, 20%, or 30% at the end of a run. And this is what the real end game is looking like once you get to hard mode, is that these things that have like the 3 stars or the 1 star here, that is really what you want to be farming. And that is something that I will go into a lot more detail later on. But as I mentioned here, do not bother until you're in hard mode, because this is the true min-maxing end game and not something that is going to be talked about too much in this video, but just something to know about, that yes, it is going to give you discounts, which allows you to get more points, more stats later on. So a quick example of that boosting that I mentioned, we have our Lacey and Yumina here that is going to be boosting my Charlotte for the second half of the run. And you can see that combined, they are going to give us a 50 points boost to strength, both at the start and at various points, as I mentioned, going through the run. So as we showcase in the run that you'll see in the later half, is that we can max out strength super early, which then means we can put points into vitality or endurance, which are generally the main three that you want to focus on, at least for PvE, is strength, vitality, endurance. Now going beyond this, we have the resonance, and the game is going to give you a warning that you need to have for resonance to start the normal mode. So I will say that you need to go through the normal mode once, just fully manual, 1, to unlock auto in general, but 2, because you do want to start leveling up and having those good bases so you can get other characters through this mode. As a just general note, as I was trying out, in case you want to be flexible with your roster with the star resonance mode so you can get them in the higher levels, I was able to get characters through at resonance 2 once I had really strong parents or the boost unlocked. So that is something you can do in the future, but at least for your base 4 characters, which if you are a free-to-play player, get them all to 4 resonance, absolutely. That is a minimum I would recommend Don't waste tickets, don't waste your time. Just get them up to 4 resonance and then start doing the normal journey mode. Now, the other thing to note about this is that you can get extra potentials as you are upgrading the resonance of your saviors. So do keep in mind that especially once you get to hard mode, which you'll need resonance 8 for, you will be getting additional perks to the characters that will end up making them stronger. And then of course they do get general damage increases. And this is again, Bunny Girl Charlotte as an example. She gets 2% attack at 4, as well as 12% crit damage at 6. You will get these through leveling up. I think 6 is 120 level uncapped, if I remember correctly. So as you're progressing, you will naturally get these. Now, let's break down Arcanas and what makes them so important. Now, we are going to use Lacey's example here because this is the all-star one that everyone loves and knows, or hopefully you get lucky enough and you see. But here is no pain, no gain. And if you didn't know, what you really want to focus on is going through this journey event tab and clicking on these little boxes. That is going to tell you what you can expect as you're playing through the mode from these Arcanas. And what really makes the Lacey one so insanely good is you'll notice that we are getting stamina, which is going to improve the odds of your training being successful at every point, as well as the sharp assault, which we had mentioned earlier, is going to be what pretty much every damage dealer is going to want. The 6% crit rate and 6% attack is just quite good at the end of it. Now, I have another note there on the side is that please do not level your Arcana beyond level 25 early on. It gets stupid expensive after that. And while, yes, you will get other things like stat increases, or you get other training academy stuff that gives you passive stats, those are all nice. But at least if you are at any point before hard mode, you can just stop these at 25. Now you can see I have mine at 35 because I was going for the unique effect, which some of them are okay. Some of them are just you don't ever use. So as a PSA, if you have the Petra one, do not level her up to 35. Stop it at 34 because it can be counterproductive to what you want to be doing and actually harm your growth. So that is the only one that's like that. But again, as a blanket statement, just stop them all at 25. However, SR Arcanas can be good. Now, if you have the perfect meta of all the SSR Arcanas, great, what have you. But I did want to have a call out here for, in this case, Haiti has a SR Arcana that is quite good because you are going to get a 5% training effect bonus whenever you use a Arcana that matches that character. And what's really nice about this too is that, well, hey, you are actually getting Skill of Defense, which is a potential. And no, it's not the best thing in the world. Again, you will be replacing this by the time you get SSRs, hopefully. But if you get super unlucky, like this is okay. Like this is a very okay one to use on her in case you are trying to train her up. But then also you can still get like potential points for doing this. So I know the SRs are not exciting, but I would very strongly recommend going through, reading all the bonuses that you get for clicking on these little treasure icons, seeing what makes sense. And again, I will say anything that is either a mood increase or a stamina increase is what I would recommend using for SRs. But for this one, I did want to call out the bonus that you get, especially because I've been using Haiti as I've been trying to level up and grind out through the game. Now, you might be wondering, like, what type of Arcana mixing should I do? And I want to stress again, as the big disclaimer up there at the front, is that this is just a starting point. This is not absolute. This is not always copy this. But in general, your damage dealers are going to want triple strength. Your frontliners are going to want triple health. And your support role, especially if you have Ash Waltz, just dump all of it into health because she is a HP scaler. So this is where it then becomes a conversation of knowing what your characters scale off of. Do they scale off of health? Do they scale off of defense? For example, for Haiti, how I've been using her is triple health, double defense, right? So this will change a little bit per character and what you're trying to do with your roster, but I did want to just mention this up front as something you can copy and at least use until you're comfortable enough with it and try to follow what the game is offering. So what is journey mode? Like, how do we make the most of it? Well, it is all about step one, build up your bonds, which are going to be these various meters here because you are going to get better stats and you're also going to be leveling the talents as you're going through this, which means you're going to get even more stats. So the long and short of this is increase your bonds because it's going to give you a higher percentage, level up the skills because it gives you a higher base value. And then you end up with this big bonk of a stat gain, which can give you 50, 60, 70, 80 points in one go, assuming you do get a little bit lucky and stacking all of this up. Now, there are going to be other things like your mood, which can increase it, or there are going to be mood effects that will increase the training XP of things like your vitality and your strength and what have you to make them level up and give you more points later on. But in general, you do want to make sure that you are focusing on the strength or whatever your main stat is and trying to line up those bonds so that you get the biggest return later on. This is a very clear example that happens later on in the run that I showcased in this video. So definitely make sure to check out the run if this is at all confusing. But generally speaking, you want to focus on bonds in the first third of the run, and then work on upgrading your stats depending on whatever RNG gives you, or just hit the auto button and let RNG take the wheel and see where it goes. So this is at least what I had found from a very quick high level of what I would recommend. So the game itself is broken out in a couple different spots where, the competition trial, which is again like the first 15 or so stages, that entire section, just build bonds, try to get it up as much as possible. If there's like 3 or 4 stacked on a node, even if it's not your main stat, hit it. Once you go to the training camp, that is where you're going to start to get your first really big boost of stats. So try to get your strength up, or whatever your main stat is. In the example, we're going to be using its strength. But do keep in mind there might be some RNG factors that you either have to rest, or maybe you pick a secondary stat. This is, again, where I really can't make it all guaranteed 100%. This is what you always do statement, because it does come down to a little bit of the RNG. And then once you have about 150 to 100 points left in the Void Trials are when you're going to want to start your main stat. There is going to be 6 training options at the very back half of the run. And this should be like your Hail Mary, the biggest increases that you're going to get, windmill slam on like a plus 80 or something and just max out your stat. So this is something you'll have to just run through on manual and see at what point, based on your Arcana, how high your main stat gets versus, do I need to put in more points early? Can I try to RNG it all during the last couple sections to get those massive point increases? That is unfortunately something that you're just going to have to play and see, but hopefully this was a very quick breakdown of the different parts and kind of what to look forward to. But I wanted to combine this with a showcase of going through a complete run, talking through all the choices, because I think that will definitely help with all the information that I've kind of covered up until this point. So with that out of the way, let's dive into the actual run itself. So as I mentioned up front, we are going to be using both Lacey and Yumina, who have the plus 25 to each, which is really going to help out our stats. I'm not going to go into each of these individual Arcana cards themselves. They have buffs that we'll talk about at the very end. Just note that, yes, at the time of this recording, this is technically all free to play, and I would put a much higher emphasis on grinding out the Arcanas from those tickets that you can get that can either be standard character pulls or Arcana pulls, because these will have a lot more value into your account. So for me personally, every single split ticket that we got, I have been pouring into the Arcanas, and at the time of this recording, again, I'm at like 470 standard-ish pulls. Now, I forget exactly how many of those are Arcana because both characters and Arcanas get looped together, but this is at least what I'm using, and we do have a assassin-specific one. So much like I called out in the Haiti example, where it can also have the names that matter for increasing the training, there are also going to be class-specific ones that you're going to want. However, there are just going to be generically good ones like the Lacey here that I had clicked on, which is going to have one of the best ones that we're looking at, which is Sharp Assault. 6% attack, 6% crit rate is quite nice. So with that, we are going to go into this run now. We are just going through it as I would normally. Now, of course, I can auto this, and I'm at a point where I can just clear it automatically, still try to loop for the potentials or blessings, as I mentioned up front, if we really want to, but I figured because it'd be the most helpful to talk through some of the choices just to help you get a little bit more comfortable as you're going through this and kind of what to expect. Now, I am going to be skipping as much as possible just for the sake of the video and just the time requirement, so we will just talk through each of the choices as we get to them. Now, one of the things I really do like about this mode in particular is that it is like a proper roguelite, that there are going to be a lot of choices that do end up mattering for the characters that you bring. So this is also why I mentioned this is going to be more of a high-level intro, because I'm not going to be able to go into every single character choice and every single item that you should always take. However, this is a good point to mention that if they have a recommendation where it says the recommended tag here in the top left corner, just take that one and you will most likely be set. Now, again, we are using Bunny Girl Charlotte because she is my main carry and just the one that I've been getting the most blessed with. But now we're getting to the basic trial. And as I mentioned up front, the main goal here is just going through this, seeing what is going to be lined up. And we are trying to look for anything that has the bond increases that we are looking for. Now, something to keep in mind, you do not want to prioritize your main stat this early. So for us, it's going to be strength. However, if there are ones that have the strength ability and the ones I know that are most important for me, I am going to put a little bit of higher value on these. So unfortunately, they're a bit spread out. So we are just going to kind of jam through this, pick the ones that matter. In this case, if it's all spread out, sure, I'll take strength just because that is going to be my main stat. And there are going to be these values that I was talking about of just random other events that are triggering based on either events through the run, through what's unique to that journey mode, or the Arcana events playing a role. Now, the other part here is also the quests. The quests, I want to put a emphasis on that generally do not do these unless they are going to give 60 coins. That is just a good break point because of how much it costs to do the big rest, which we'll definitely talk about through the course of this run. But you can see that this one does have the very hard, so it's likely that we'd fail it. And this one at 30 is just not worth it. So we're going to skip this for now, instead go back to training. Again, go through these, click through, see what's available. So perfect. Here's an example. We're getting 3 of these. 2 of them are the Arcana events. There's 2 here as well. Now, something else to note is that both focus and protection do not take stamina. However, they're not really going to give you the main stats that you care about either. So this one actually has the Lacey, which we really do care about. This is actually kind of an interesting choice here. But we're going to go with focus. Focus is going to give us a little bit more potential. It still does give us the strength. And some characters are going to care about focus more than others. So Bunny Girl Charlotte does not, because she doesn't have any status effects. She's just about buffing her own stuff. How the event choices. So this is where it gets into knowing the runs and which option gives you what rewards. This one is going to be strength for supplements. The soft pillow is vitality or HP. And the last one is going to be your endurance or defense. So because we are using Bunny Girl Charlotte, of course, we are going to go for the strength here. And there's the strength plus 10 that I just mentioned. And we get a free item as well. So training, we're still at 0% chance to fail. So another one that's not really great for us for what our options are. So again, I know that Lacey's gonna be important for us because she has the events and the additional ability that we're looking for. So getting her prioritized is going to be really important. And our normal stat here, you can click on this and always see that generally we want to have this in the best condition to get the most points. But early on when you're training, these are just mostly the bond focus, so these aren't as important for getting the most amount of stats. You will make up for this at the end. Now, as you are leveling and as you are training in certain stats, you might have noticed that the level for themselves is going up. As you're progressing through and you consistently train on that one thing, the level is going to go up, meaning you get more stats from it. So this is another reason why you really want to focus on the first 3, so your strength, HP, and defense where you can, because those are the ones you're going to get the most value out of later once you get into the hyper training. So another one here, we're just going to jam strength, which is getting pretty high already at this point. We're pretty early on. And now this is where you make your first interesting choice. So with the quest mode and when it has the hunt that comes up, you can see here that we're going to get 80 coins for this hunt. Plus, you get 30 additional coins if you are able to clear it within the turns. This is a very, very good decision to make based on your coin economy, which at the end, these coins will convert into additional potential points, which you will, of course, need to get those stats at the very end. Now, it might not happen in this run. Okay, so this is a good example of we got kind of lucky that we got unlucky. In one of my earlier runs, I was positioned with a choice where I had either 3 or 4 bonds on a single training mode, meaning it was like a triple or quadruple efficiency in increasing bond. That is pretty much the break point of considering if I want to do one or the other. So in this case, because we only had 2 of them, I am just going to take the quest here to get the extra coins, and you'll notice it said I can skip the battle. I accidentally went into it instead. So we're going to skip through and go into the next one. And there you can see we get all the extra coins, which is really nice. And we are going to keep this journey going. Now, again, these runs are going to be a little bit longer, but I want to talk through a complete run just to give you the most amount of information, help decide. So this one is about decreasing the cost of the shop. So this one I can generally skip because the early shop isn't as important. But for a rule of thumb, for every other one that comes up, I would recommend helping her out. Now, for the food items, these are a little bit less important. The only thing that I generally look for early on is going to be the training books for the stats that I need, or there will be food that increases the potential. So at the end, the coins are a 2-to-1. So I have 150, let's just say coins right now, I would get 75 potential points. Usually the good food is going to be 1-to-1. And here we can start seeing that we're getting the skills stacking up, but we are going to save that until the very end. We are just going to go into our battle. Of course, we're going to skip it. We're going to succeed, and we are going to move on. So that is your basic trial complete. That's kind of like the first stepping stone of many as you're going through this. So we are now going to have a hunt trial, and this is now the loop. So this is where we might want to start caring about where our quests are at. 80 coins is a lot for that one again if we're trying to go for points, but there you go. This is more of what you want to see, right? We want to get more of these triples. Getting endurance on her is not the worst thing, and our failure rate as still at 0. So we're going to continue to train this up. We're going to get all these bond increases, which is going to be good for us later on. Click through the random events that are going to happen, more potential points. And you'll get into a flow of, like, it's just quickly going through, seeing what's available. This is one where there's none of our Arcana card events, which are popping up. So this would be a great time for a hunt to pop up if we, and I'm not going to try it very hard. So if you get in a spot like this, it might be worth taking a rest. Now, your options are, if you want to gamble, you can do free. I generally don't need to do this, but quarters is good for boosting your mood back up to best, and then meditation is like the big rest that you can do. So because we do want to get our stats going in the right direction now, we are going to use this to get up to the best stat here and then go back into our ability. So there we go. We don't have enough of the focus stats, so we're not able to look for the weak spot, but this is going to be another event that gives you a sword and just one of the journey exclusive events that happen. So I'm going to buy this because it's going to give us points at the end. It's going to give us strength, I believe, is for this one. And then back to the loop of trying to find of our trading events. And here we go. Here's a triple. We'll click through this. So now they're in green, which means they're going to get increased stats, increased benefits. For this one, this is related to the Arcana event. You always have to tell her honestly to get the skill. So make sure you do tell her honestly, and then that will let you pick it at the very end. So training once more, trying to find out if there's any ones that are multiple events. So here's 2 of our guys on endurance. So we are going to go ahead and hit this to get their bond up. So again, we're still in kind of the bond growing phase, as I like to call it. Training mode, there you go. This is exactly now what we really want to see. This has 2 of our characters we care about. It's in our main stat. And here you can see that we're getting a 200% increase now because of the stats and the number of, or the bonds and the number of characters that are here. Plus, it's also stacking with our condition here. And this one, it says speed increased by 10%. So this will also help you during the dungeons. But here you can see this is where we're starting to get our points stacking up while also building our bonds. So this is kind of the perfect scenario as you're going through these modes and what's really important for your training. So once again, we are looking at a hunt option. So this one is going to have the 80, but I always personally like to check just to see if there's another triple stack. This one is pretty tempting, honestly. So we have 150 coins, which is going to be enough for us to have a long rest. So I do like that, having that option. But 80 coins going up to 110 is a lot. So this is where you have to decide, you know, how are my stats looking? What is really important to me? Do I need the extra bond to push these up? Or do I have enough coins to go look for items in the shop or other events that pop up? So for me personally, and also make sure to check your buffs because these might matter as well. Yeah, this is actually a very interesting choice for where we're at. But I think we are going to take the coins because I like having enough money for resting. And this is one that can give us a very significant amount for what it is. But that is definitely if it was a 4 stack, I would have absolutely just picked the ability. But Keep in mind here, we are going to go ahead and just get the money and save ourselves some currency, hopefully for an upcoming event or shop that we need to. So again, food options here are not going to be important. Here you can see where we got the sharp growth, which is the one that we were talking about for the crit rate. But nothing we really need to buy here, so we are just going to keep jamming on through. And you'll see here we got another character added to our party. She gave us the extra 50 strength. So again, keep in mind that strength is going to trigger multiple times, which is really going to help out to make sure that we can get that 750 threshold in the normal mode. And here is what you want to try to line up for when this event happens. This is always a journey that happens after that hunt trial, is that these are special training events. So you can see here that we have a bonus for various stats, and this is where you want to make sure that you have your best status, and there will be a stamina event for coins, so you want to make sure that you have a little bit of coinage going into this to make sure that you don't have to lose a day resting either. So this is something you'll be a little bit more comfortable with as you do this a number of times to make sure you are clearing through. Perfect. So this is now where we have a choice where we can actually get our vitality up, which is one good. Our vitality was lower in general, but we also have a triple buff here. So you can see that we're getting the 220%. The failure rate is still at 0, and we still have the XP gain for this, meaning it's going to give us more points for the training. So very nice hit here for us. We're going to get the hyper resonance, getting us more stats, and then we're going to have the normal events pop up. So continuing through this, and great, another training popped up. Looks like it is going to be the same one. I still want to focus on seeing what other ones we have, because again, we still want to get these other ones up where we can, but this one is still going to give us a little bit. And again, vitality is boosted right now, so not a bad one to do, because it's going to give us geez, all the way up to D on that now. D rank for it. So again, always check your buffs. So training failure rate is decreased. That's very nice. Good strength increase, but I think we're we're about halfway. We're doing pretty good on our overall, and we're under halfway on the Pathfinder. So we're doing really great here, actually. And that strength additional that we got from the potentials is really making a difference here. So now we have the flexibility to put some points elsewhere, which we're gonna go ahead and throw them into focus just to try and get her bond rate up. And now this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. You can see that we have a 74% fail rate. The only time that I'm really hitting a 74% rate is this better be like a 500%. So instead, this is where I recommend that your coins come in handy. We are going to go for the biggest rest possible. Now, this will not improve your mood, as I mentioned earlier. It is just going to give you the stamina, as well as removing some harmful events. The quarters is what you need to do if you need to get your mood up. So at least for this first one, I very much recommend. Perfect. We got a great success as well, which means we get the higher amount of stamina, pushing us all the way back up to 100%. So definitely a little bit lucky on that one. And now we have our vitality training, which we could definitely do again, but I do want to get these other ones up, as well as it gives us, a big increase on our potential points that we get towards the end. Hit rate. So this is going to be for Lacey. So again, keep in mind if it's companion only or Lacey. In this case, it's going to be Lacey. Perfect. So training is going to be 3 of these. We still have a stat increase that we want. We're still a little bit lower on the others, but hey, this is a 346 increase, and we are still getting a training buff for vitality as well. So she's going to be coming out of this run very tanky. Double hyper. Let's go. I always like to just check the food. Nothing that we really care about. No books. I'm still saving my coins because, again, every coin saved allows you to buy potentials at the end. All right, next sequencing here. And now this is where we really want to start focusing on. We got almost everybody to max, but now we are looking at just getting our strength up and making sure. I guess we can spend one more here. Endurance is not bad. It's looking a little low. It still gives us a couple points into strength, but I really want to try to get this last one if we can. Pretty great. Perfect. Here you go. So we have a lot of strength. Plus 50 is absolutely huge, and we are going to get their events after it. So here I would still look. We still have the endurance, but again, we are focused on our main stat here. Plus, it's going to give us some into Lisette. So this is a easy choice of windmill slamming and all the way up to 402 strength now. We're actually getting pretty high in strength compared to some of the other ones. So I do want to be mindful, and just to see if we have any other ones that we can buff up for a little bit. Our failure rate is 26%. So this one we should probably rest, but it's, 25 is like the cut for me. So unfortunately we do fail. So this is a good example of what happens when you fail. So sometimes you'll have a vitality potion that is going to let you get a freebie excuse. Otherwise, you are going to take a stamina penalty to still get some type of benefit from it. Otherwise, you get a negative status effect. And we are instead going to look at our training here to get a stamina increase back. So unfortunately, we got hit with a mood down. Thankfully, there's no must do, but you can see that we got a 94 here. So we have to take a big rest. We need to get as much of our stamina back as possible. And hopefully we find a event that's going to increase our mood from our arcanas. So we'll see if we get any type of lucky breaks on that end of it. Nope, we are just going to get her event. So again, now this is where we're stuck back in the good. So we want to see if there's any... Oh, wow, we actually got kind of lucky here. So there's not any like must-do training that has like multiple stacks. You'd want to check quests. There is one for 50, which is a good breakpoint. However, we do have a couple of buffs here, and we want to make sure that we are in the best mood possible just to get our stats up. So I am actually going to take that other rest that I talked about with the quarters. So we are going to, overcap on stamina a little bit, but we did want to try to get her mood back into the best category to give the best amount of buffs as possible. So here again is an important choice. So we have the hunt quest, which are going to give us 110 coins, or we might have a training here that is really important to do. All single stack. So yep, this is the one where we are just going to take the normal hunt, get ourselves 110 coins, and go on to the next round. I think we are just going to not find any food on this run. Again, you can see our potential stacking up. Nothing that we really have to worry about buying right now, so we're going to go ahead and skip the battle. And now we have Yumina joining our group, which gave us another 50 strength, so we're really going to be able to focus on getting the other stat increases. Now, here's where you have to make your choice. If you are making a main damage dealer, you're going to always want to go to Flora. If you are building a tank, you're always going to want to go to Khalid. So we are going to jam into here, and this is where I was talking about. It's really important to make sure that we had our best mood going into this, because now this is going to be a massive increase for strength and really be the part where you want to have all of your bonds maxed out to get the most amount of points possible if, again, keyword if, you line up them all into strength. So that one is a little bit lower. Of course, you can always check quests. I do not recommend doing quests at this part. So we thankfully have some buffs here that are helping us out because our stamina is starting to get a bit low. But this has a double increase, which is really nice. So another failure rate 0. We're now getting 48 points. Again, very quickly going to be able to max out our strength from this mode. So we'll take our biggest boost possible as we're going through this. Now, unfortunately, here is where you want to try to find a item called the portable fan from the shop. I could have spent a little bit of coins to try to reset to get this, but we are just going to tough this one out. It is going to be a mood decrease, unfortunately, which means we are going to have to take a day off, which you can see here. We are losing out on training because this has a 50% fail rate, and I am not about the gamble on that one. You can check our quest, still not important. Oops. So we are going to take the rest. We are going to try to increase our mood. Now, the thing here is there will be a coin event that allows us to max out our stamina, so we don't need to do the big rest in case you were in a position where you weren't trying to improve the mood. Well, we get a great success, so we get the higher end of stamina back, which means that the food buff is going to be a bit wasted here, but I do want to max this out while we can, just because it is going to give you potential points back as well. So now we are in the kind of best position possible for upgrading the rest of our stats. Strength is only getting 36 here. I do know that we should be able to max this out with good training RNG at the very end. So I kind of want to max out some of our other ones here. So we're going to put a little bit more into focus just to try to max out the last one. Again, does not take stamina. And we are going to be able to hopefully have one big slam here at the very end. So no buffs for strength. But we do see a triple buff here for focus, so we're going to take this one as well. Again, I know that we should be able to get a lot of strength stacked up, but getting a little bit unlucky. Wow, we are just getting, yeah, we're getting a bit unlucky, as it were, but yeah, 27's not really a great amount, so we're going to take the quad roll here, get our endurance up. I guess, hey, she's going to have some stats. So again, removes harmful worry. This one does give a little bit of stamina restore as well as strength. So this one I will take just because we have, you know, we're pretty healthy on points. Again, you can see just a quick reference of our stats going up. And then we are going to go into our quest. And now we should be looking to get our last points in strength where we can. And hopefully get lucky on these last couple rounds. So, unfortunately, not looking too good for us. But as I mentioned, this is where you really want to start just putting all your efforts into maxing out strength or whatever your main stat is going to be. So in this case, we are just going to roll it with the 1 buff and try to make sure we're getting this maxed out. Wow, nothing across the board. So we need 100 more points. And we really only need to get Hyper Resonance like 1 good time, and we should be able to max that out. So I think I'm going to be a little risky here with just trying to get additional points for our more health and hopefully getting more potential points for the very end. But we are going to accept our fate here because that's how you get her buff, which we are looking for Bunny Girl Charlotte. All right. We at least got 1 here, so we are going to be able to, again, 0% failure rate, plus 38, and we are going to be able to get an additional amount from the event that's going to happen. Should give us more strength as well. The tome is super late, not anything that we really need. Now, we only need 68 more for that, so we should be good to get that. And we got 360 points. I'm going to refresh once just to see what else we can get. Vitality by 36. Okay, well, 36 is definitely a good chunk of stats to get. So this is actually a pretty interesting one. Now, it's not the one that we need the most of, but this can hopefully allow us to... how are we doing on potential? We have 1060. 1200 is generally what you want to be looking for. So I am going to buy both of these. Get her into pluses. Now, that did burn a lot of our coins. We still have enough for a rest, which is the important part. And now we're able to skip through this quite easily. And now we are at the final trial, which is just pray to all that is good. We high roll our strength. So, again, we finally got some of them to line up where we really needed to. We got 42, so this worked out perfectly for what we wanted. And there you go. We are able to get this up. We are looking at her strength going all the way up. And if we're lucky, we'll get like a couple extra points through the other events that are going to happen to max it out the rest of the way. So again, all we needed was that 1 good training, and now we're 11 points off. So here's where it gets interesting. We are just going to be looking for other stats that are going to increase strength while also giving us points elsewhere. So again, we could go into the strength here, and that's where you see the 380%, which would have been nice in case we were a little bit lower earlier on, but I was kind of feeling a little unlucky with our buff, so I was a bit worried about that one. So I think as long as we get another event, we can get strength all the way up. So instead, I'm going to go for our vitality training here to give us the most amount of stats for the endurance and for the vitality. There you go. We got a +5 strength event. And this means that we should be able to guarantee the last point, yep, just by going through endurance at the very end to round out our points beautifully. So we're just going to continue to stack up vitality, I guess, because we are... and also, we're going to get a bunch of items back for the potential points. So yeah, we're going to buy vitality here just to try to give her some more health. And we're going to start looking for other items through the shop. So don't really need the endurance or the other one. See what else we can get. Yep, I'm going to go for the premium pasta. Just keep giving her stats, keep giving her vitality, and looks like really nothing for the last one here. So we will just buy this out, get some of the lower stats here, get endurance up, and then... Sure. Don't think that's hitting any breakpoints for us, but this will be a easy clear. Again, we're going to get 30 points here anyways from our last reward, because those are going to convert, and then we will be done. And important to note, at the very end, you do not get a shop. It is just picking your potential. So actually, we went over. We got 1,300. So for her, we do know that we want... I have to find them all again. We want her speed increase. We want sharp assault. We do want the Stigma of Attack to give her the most amount of attack. And then we do want the crit rate one, so I am going to just stack her crit rate. And unfortunately, we were just short, actually, of getting a extra buff, so let's try to just do this very quickly for the sake of the video. So scuffed a little bit, but I'll just grab one more attack buff. So there's our final stats. We are going to end the journey, and then this is where you would say, hey, hopefully we get some good inheritables for the next run. And there you go. This would be good for the focus is not what we want, but the sense of blessing, which is going to give us the crit, is going to be super good. And then, of course, we'll get our normal rewards. You can check the details. Here's all the confirmation. And so you could equip this immediately. So just for the sake of it, we'll go see how it compares against my previous one that I've put together. So this was the new one. And what's really nice is that it'll give you a direct comparison of how you were able to progress your points. What upgrades did you get? So we got a little less defense, slightly less crit rate, it looks like, actually. But we did get a 246% increase. So again, that's what we get for not hitting the max level. But we did get the Stigma of Attack, which is new, as well as an extra 1%. So we got an extra 9% attack here. So I'm going to take that just because it is a little bit higher, and the stats are there at the end. So hopefully you found this video helpful. I know this was a little bit longer of a video. I tried to trim down as much from the journey section as possible, but I thought it would be beneficial to go through a complete run, talk about the choices as we're going through it, and then hopefully, you know, this would all come together and make sense here at the very end of how you might want to navigate this. So if you want to see more Star Savior guides in the future, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But otherwise, let me know what other questions you have down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But until next time, my friends, stay safe, stay hydrated, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.